Burns, what is the downside, just to explain to people who don't follow this as closely as you do, the downside of taking military action against Iran's main nuclear reactor at this time, as the president has been defeated and is leaving office?
Andrew, the downside is the risk of a wider war. If we launched a military attack on Natanz or any other target in Iran, what we know about the Iranians is they do hit back. Where could they hit back? At American military forces in Iraq, at American naval and air assets in the Gulf. They could try to kidnap or kill American citizens anywhere in the world. They've done that in the past. So if you're going to argue for the use of military force, you've got to look at the downside. You've got to do the risk reward ratio. And right now, there's an alternative. It's called diplomacy. Why would you risk a war when the Iranians seem to be willing, perhaps, to come back to the negotiating table? And I think this is a problem of President Trump's own making. He left the Iran nuclear deal and it was working. And now, of course, the Iranians are closer to a nuclear weapon. They have 5,385 pounds of low-enriched uranium. That's enough for about 2 nuclear weapons. You'd have to convert that over a couple of months into highly enriched uranium, but we're far worse off than we were the day that Barack Obama and Joe Biden left the White House 4 years ago.
And this is just one of the problems that's going to confront a new administration. Another precipitous action could be the withdrawal from Afghanistan. This is something the military also opposes, but the president seems determined. Peter, what is the latest you're hearing about withdrawing all troops or most troops from Afghanistan?
Well, this has been a source of tension now for months between the president and his national security advisor on the one side, General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, on the other side. The military believes that even a small footprint of troops is necessary there to maintain, a foothold in the country and to provide stability to the government, even following that peace deal that the president negotiated with the Taliban. If all American troops pulled out, the reasoning is it would just sort of open the door to the Taliban basically taking over altogether, which would then create the kind of, rogue state that provided a haven for al-Qaeda back in 2001. That's the argument anyway. President Trump has made very clear from the beginning that he is not interested in keeping troops overseas, that he came to office in part rejecting the Bush era, wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that he would like to leave office having, on his legacy, the end of the Afghan war. So this is a big, big push and pull in these final months. We're talking about a small number of troops, but a big, big impact and big consequence.
And the NATO allies are against the withdrawal, as well as Mitch McConnell and others on the Hill. But some Democrats are very much in favor of it. So it crosses party lines. Nick, I want to also ask you about Mike Pompeo. He is going to 7 countries. In France, he was rebuffed. He did meet with officials, but not publicly. They wouldn't see him publicly because he has not conceded publicly that Joe Biden has won the election. And it's awkward to say the least. The French and German foreign ministers had an op-ed the day he was there, talking about how they look forward to working with Biden and reestablishing the relationship going forward. And then he went to Turkey, and Erdogan wouldn't meet with him. So they went, they had a meeting with the patriarch of the Greek Orthodox Church. They went sightseeing at an historic mosque. The Pompeos, Mrs. Pompeo with Mike Pompeo. Now he's in Tbilisi, just arrived in Georgia. Then he goes to the Middle East. What about this trip when it's not only a lame duck administration, but he has not acknowledged that Joe Biden has won?
Andrew, I can't remember a situation like this over many, many decades. It's in a normal transition. The existing Secretary of State would be working closely with the incoming administration, the transition team. And sometimes that Secretary of State would travel, but wouldn't undertake any major initiatives without checking with the incoming administration, because you want a peaceful transfer of power and you want the new team to succeed. We don't have any of that right now. There's hostility from the Trump administration. And as you say, this extraordinary remark from Mike Pompeo last week, we're transitioning to a Trump second term. They said his aide said he was kidding. But you can't kid about something like this. This is the root of American democracy. Can we transition peacefully? And so it's not surprising to me that some of these world leaders will not see him, because they clearly understand around the world that Joe Biden won the election and Donald Trump lost the election. They've got to get ready to work with the Biden team. And that's why the Trump administration and the president personally admitting his defeat, conceding, and working with the Biden transition team is so important.
Nick Burns, thank you so much, Ambassador Nick Burns. Peter Baker from the New York Times, thanks to both.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.